Do you have a vision for the next month, year, maybe even for the rest of your life? Is that vision clear? Let's see if we can hone in on what's important so that we can stay aligned with our true selves. Stay tuned. Hello all, Janae here, also known as the Well-Rounded Black Girl. I am here with a video. As you can tell from the title today, that video is on vision and clarity of your vision. So as you know, as I reference, I feel like in every single video I have made a video on purpose, which I think is an excellent precursor to this video, because I think, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but having a good sense of your purpose will help you to have clarity in your vision. But first, let's talk about what is vision. Why is it important? What does it all mean? So to me, your vision is kind of your purpose focused. It's you understanding your purpose and then going forth and with that purpose in mind, having some forethought about where you want your life to go, how you want to affect the world, in general, how you want to do that. I think that is your vision. It's a precursor to a goal, to a plan, and it's something that is lofty and aspirational without being completely out of touch. Again, you want it to be aligned with what you feel is right, what you feel your purpose is, and your vision is just how you see your purpose, how you see yourself executing your purpose. So it's not so far as a goal, and spoiler alert, I will have a video on goal setting out next week. But it's not so far as a goal necessarily, but it's something that you base your goal off of. Your vision is kind of telling you what you want. Your purpose is kind of telling you how you feel like you should move in the world, what you feel like you can bring to the community around you, to the world around you. And your vision is saying, okay, I understand what I can bring. How exactly is that going to work? Like, again, if your purpose is to help people, live their best lives, let's just say, that's simple enough. And then your vision is, how do you see that happening? Do you mean physically? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you mean emotionally? Maybe you want to be a therapist. Maybe you mean you want people to have the best education. You want to be a teacher. So, that one purpose of helping people to live their best lives can be manifested in a lot of different ways. And so what is your vision for your life? How do you see yourself helping people, basically? So a lot of different organizations will, especially nonprofits, will have a mission statement, but they'll also have a vision statement. So I want to bring an example. I used to work for an organization called City Year. Worked there for 7.5 years. It was great. It was a great experience. And I learned a lot about myself there. A lot. And so I thought it would be interesting to share their mission and their vision statements just to see a little bit of how those are different. So City Year's mission statement is fairly simple. It is to build democracy through citizen service, civic leadership, and social entrepreneurship. And so City Year's vision statement is a little bit more aspirational. It is just that, how does it go? City Year's vision is that one day the most commonly asked question of a young person will be, where are you going to do your service year? Because City Year is an organization that, compels young people to do service. They want it to be kind of part of the common vernacular, like where are you going to go to college? Where are you going to do your service year? That is their vision. And so it's a little bit less grounded than their mission, but it's still something that they aspire to, something that they, through their work, hope that eventually happens. That's like not a goal, but like a vision. That's what they would like to happen. So you can see that that's not super concrete, but it's a matter of having some level of purpose combined with a level of foresight, maybe some reflection to see where you exactly want things to take you, your life to take you. So again, it's just, I know I'm struggling for words a little bit because it's hard to describe something that is so a little bit intangible, but hopefully you get the point. And I've talked a lot about purpose being very helpful in determining your vision. I do think that for you to have the strongest vision, the clearest vision possible, that you need to have an idea of your purpose first. But I will say, if you've been struggling to find your purpose, but you do keep having these kind of visions for your life, these thoughts about where you want your life to go, that might be a great place to backtrack and say, okay, I see all these places where I want my life to go. What do these places have in common? what is the theme here? And that way you can kind of backtrack to find actually what you feel like your purpose is. So they can go hand in hand. I do think it's much easier to understand your vision and to establish your vision if you've already understood, at least to a certain extent, your purpose. But I do think that some people are just talented that way, that they can have a vision for something and it kind of just comes together, maybe without them taking the necessary, or maybe not necessary, without them taking the steps of finding their purpose. But I think for most of us, it's going to be the case that we need to think about what our purpose is before we can go into what our vision for our lives are. For our lives. What our vision is for our lives. There you go. And I know I said that I'm going to talk about goal setting in my next video, and that's absolutely true. But I want to bring it up here a little bit because I think having vision is also, please forgive me if you are not like a football fan and you don't understand this analogy, but having vision, like that's the quarterback's job, right, on the football team. Like obviously the coach and all that too, but the quarterback is the one that's going to be on the line seeing things as they actually happen. So the coach with the coaching staff and maybe sometimes with the quarterback might come together and come up with a gameplay, right? That's a goal that you already have because you've had a vision already. If you want to win this game, you want to know how you want to win this game with like strategy or just like punishment. Like how do you want to do that? And so you've come up with this game plan, right? But then the quarterback has the responsibility to also have vision to say, okay, we have this plan set in front of us, but I see very clearly what's actually in front of us. And if it doesn't match with the plan we already have, the quarterback has vision enough to say, okay, we need to change something. I'm going to call an audible, which means that the quarterback is changing the play at the line, when they're about to, get into all of that gameplay and all of that. I know, very, very technical sports vernacular. But basically, like I said, the quarterback has to have that vision to say, is this going to be necessary? And not all quarterbacks are trusted enough by their coaches to be able to call audibles. But when you are, it's because your coach knows and understands that you have vision, that you can see, even if you already have a plan set out, you can change that up. So now you're just coming up with a different way to do it because of an obstacle, for example, that might be in your path. Okay, so now that we're all talked out about vision and what it is, what does it mean to bring clarity to your vision? I think it's super important to think about this because you can have a vision, and if it's imprecise and kind of still like you have a tenuous grasp on it, like you don't really know what the vision is, you just kind of have an idea, it can be difficult to make your actions align with your vision and your purpose because you don't really understand what it is. It needs to be clear and specific so that you can always know whether or not the plans that you're making and actions that you are taking align with the vision that you set out. If your vision is too vague, then almost any action can align with it and it might not get you to your desired goal. I was browsing articles while I was thinking about this topic, and I'll put one down below, and I don't remember the title of it off the top of my head, but it basically encouraged you to ask yourself 3 questions when you're thinking about your vision. So what do I want to be? What do I want to do? And what do I want to have? So understanding these things about yourself can also help you to understand and establish whether the vision that you have for yourself is truly yours. Sometimes the thoughts and feelings of friends and family members and society at large can kind of come in and cloud our vision, especially when we're not certain of it yet. And you want to make sure that the vision that you have for yourself is actually your vision. Do you want to be a doctor because you truly find that interesting and you do want to help people and that's a way that you can see yourself doing that? Or is it because, you want to help people and society says that, being a doctor is lucrative and your mom says that being a doctor is respectable? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there another way that you want to do that? So I guess I'm saying make sure you know what you want to be, what you want to have, what you want to do. Those are just kind of questions that focus on you and don't focus on expectations of you, external expectations of you. In order to establish your vision, it also might be helpful to understand your vices and values. And I'm going to do a whole video on values and vices later on, or I guess next year. But just as a quick, I guess so that we're all on the same page as to how I'm using those words. To me, a value is just something that you hold important, and a vice is kind of like a bad habit. And so I think it's important that you understand those things about yourself, because those things require you to be as honest as possible with yourself. And when you are establishing your vision, it is an intensely personal experience, because yes, you are deciding how you want to be in the world and how you want to present, but you have to do it in the way that like feels the most right to you, or else it won't be true, it won't be authentic, it won't have the impact that you are wanting it to. So I think it's important to understand your values, just so that you understand, again, values, I think I said in the purpose video, are very important to purpose, so they're also very important to vision. When you are making your plans, when you're setting your goals and deciding how you're going to carry out this purpose and vision that you, in some instances created, in some instances discovered for yourself, it's important to understand where your values are, what lines you won't cross, what boundaries you do want to push. Like, you might very intentionally want to push some boundaries because, you know, the existing societal boundaries might you know, be something that that's something that you're actually trying to dismantle, right? So you might want to push those boundaries. In other areas, you might not want to push a certain boundary because of that thing, that boundary, that value is very important to you. And, you know, so it just gives you some guidance as to what's important to you, and also gives you some kind of intrinsic self-motivation to get things done, because you know it's important to you, you know why you're doing what you're doing, and so it just makes it easier to feel confident and ready and able and willing to do what you want to do. I think it's important to understand your vices, because you want to understand the areas that you might have to either work around or confront before, you know, you really make a plan, or understand that while you're making a plan, while you're setting goals, you need to keep this thing in mind. If you know that you procrastinate, you know what I'm saying? You might want to work on that. But two, if that's really just how you work, and I would argue that, you know, you can shift and change habits, not easily, but it's possible. But if that's something, and realistically, you know that by the time you want to reach this goal, you're not going to have shifted your habit of procrastination, then maybe you put some benchmarks, some milestones in there, you know, you give yourself some incentives. I don't know, whatever it is that you know you have to do to combat your procrastination, you place that into your goal, because you're being honest with yourself, and you understand that you might want to say you are an ideal person and can just set a goal and achieve it. But if you know that there are things that you do or that are around you that are going to get in your way, it's more responsible to plan for those things. So the biggest thing for me about vision is that it is really easy to put aside, especially when it's underdeveloped. When you are overwhelmed, when you're in a kind of, you know, mental, emotional, either crisis or just a state of, like I said, being overwhelmed, and you don't even really have time to think, you're going through the motions. You know, if your vision is underdeveloped, you will put that to the side, and you will make decisions that might be short-term fixes, but are not aligned to what you want to do in the long term. That is, and sometimes those things happen, right? Sometimes you just have to make a decision and maybe veer off course a little bit. But if it happens consistently, and if it's happening because you just haven't had time to sit and think about your vision, or you haven't even had really the inclination to do so, those are some things that can be avoided, you know, especially, like I said, if you're being honest with yourself about obstacles that may be coming along the way. If you've planned for those, you already know how you're going to get around that, right? And so I just think that it's really important to really hone that vision, so that you can make sure that the decisions that you make are going to stay aligned with it as much as possible. And also understand that your vision can be flexible. You can have a vision one day and come across some information, you know, and the next day completely change it. But at the same time, that at every step of the point in that equation, you knew what your vision was. And there may be a little point of uncertainty, but you're still working toward finding a new vision that works for your new circumstance. And so I think it's really important, again, to just know what your vision is, regardless if you change it every week, to know what it is, so that you know that the decisions and actions that you're taking that week align to where you want to be for the time being. And the last thing that I want to say about vision is that although I think that vision itself is something kind of lofty and aspirational, I don't think that the process for discovering your vision has to be super lofty. You know, I love a good vision board. You can't see it, but my vision board is actually like above me. I think it's been visible in other videos, but it's up there on my wall, on the door back there. And I love my vision board. I've had it for the past 2 years, and I think in the next year or so I'm gonna have to update it, or like completely change it out. But it's still relevant for me right now. I'm still working through some of the stuff on it. But it's also great to see some of the things that I have already worked through that are up there when I look at it. But again, or you can journal, you can do those types of, like sit down self-reflection type of activities. You can also talk to friends or family about what you want from your life. You can talk to a life coach, you can talk to a therapist and work some of that out. You can honestly take your commute in the morning and just think about where you want your life to go. You don't even have to write it down. I mean, I think it might be helpful to have it somewhere, but honestly, if you're the type of person that can keep that in your brain, do that. It doesn't have to be some grand vision boarding party, whatever. It can literally be you on your way to work. Thinking about some of these things for your own life. Okay, that is all I have to say on that topic for the day. As I mentioned, my next video is going to be on goal setting. It's going to be out next Thursday, so be sure to check that out. Hopefully this helped someone, this resonated, it's helping you on your journey to find your vision, and if it helped one person, I'm great. So I'm going to say, if you have any thoughts or comments for me, definitely leave them down in the comment section below, or hit me up on social media. All of the handles are below in the description box. If you like the video and want to see more content like it, definitely subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button on your way out, ring the bell, all the YouTube stuff. Just do all the stuff, the like, the subscribe, the bell, the comment, all of that. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.